Former Kalinago chief says funds to address the housing crisis in the Kalinago territory are not forthcoming. Councillor Marcelin Frederick says though repair works are currently being done to some houses, there is a serious housing crisis in the area. He says 95% of the houses in the Kalinago territory are in urgent need of repair.
At this time we are renovating some houses in the KairiFM territory, and we have all the villages being covered at this present moment. We have already done about 50 houses, but as I said, there's plenty more to be done, and the finance is not forthcoming. We are trying our best to meet those who are really in need, and to see what we can do for others. But as I said, we are still pending on the government for some more money to finish the project. The survey that we made, partly 95% of the KairiFM people really need it. Some of them are not saying anything, but they really need it. At this present moment, I think there's a crisis, a housing crisis in the KairiFM territory, because I think the last survey that we made, 95% of the people really are in need of the housing renovation. Some of the houses at this point in time, they just need complete renovation. The whole house needs a complete building, new building. And I would say about 45% of the housing in the KairiFM territory are just like that.
Former Chief Councillor Marcelin Frederick. In other news, 3 pillars of cooperation to activate the unending relationship of Dominica and the government and people of India could soon be to the benefit of many Dominicans. India's High Commissioner to Dominica, His Excellency Malay Mishra, told a press conference today that these areas identified, once approved by government through the signing of an MOU, will seek to boost the micro, small and medium-term business sector. Mishra says it is his hope that the Memorandum of Understanding can soon be signed.
We have identified a few areas for activating our cooperation. These areas are primarily small industries, agriculture, ICT. You can call them the 3 pillars of our cooperation, which we have identified. On the small industry side, there was a visit of a delegation of the National Small Industries Corporation of India, which is a Government of India agency under the Ministry of Micro, Small and Medium Enterprises. They had visited Dominica in January this year, and they had interacted with both the government as well as the private sector. They have proposed a memorandum of understanding between NSIC, this body, and its counterpart body in Dominica for boosting the micro, small and medium enterprises sector. We feel that this is a very appropriate area of development of Dominica's economy, and this has several components in it. The NSIC, if this MOU is finalized, and we hope that it should be finalized soon from the Dominican side.
His Excellency Mishra says that India's successes in the agro and small manufacturing area should be replicable to that of Dominica's development.
We would want to replicate some of our successes in the small sector for the development of Dominica, particularly in the agro area, agro and small manufacturing area, because we feel that given the economies of scale for this country, it is very appropriate to concentrate on the small part of it, that we start small and we put our strengths and expertise, and NSIC will come with their experts and the technologies which they have developed. And it is for the Dominican side to identify the areas, and in those areas bring in technologies from India. And it will be a transfer of technology with machineries coming, experts to handle those machineries coming and giving training to people here who will be using those things. And these are very small technologies, very scalable, replicable technologies, which do not require much space. It can be put in a small area, and it can give employment opportunities to a significant section of the population, because they are replicable, and more young people who are otherwise not gainfully employed in your productive sector can find employment there. They can be self-employed. They can themselves own these machineries, and financing, etc., can be also looked at.
India's High Commissioner to Dominica, His Excellency Malay Mishra. In other news, Attorney General Francine Baron-Royer says members of the United Workers' Party vacated their seats by failing to appear to Parliament for 3 consecutive sittings of the House of Assembly. The Attorney General says addressing the media Tuesday to clarify some of the concerns about the Speaker's decision to announce by-elections in 2 seats held by the United Workers' Party.
Parliament is established by the Constitution. Parliament can only function if members attend. It has been said in the case of Carlott and the Attorney General that there is nothing unconstitutional in a provision designed to ensure that Parliament does function, and that a person elected to Parliament does what he is elected to do, attend Parliament. If he fails to do so, it is reasonable that he should be replaced by somebody who will. The Constitution specifically provides by Section 35(3)(a), which I quoted earlier, of how this should be approached. A member shall vacate his seat if he absents himself in circumstances prescribed by Parliament in its rules of procedure. Parliament has so prescribed in its standing orders.
Attorney General Francine Baron-Royer. In other news, environmentalist Afatan Martin says there are lessons to be learned from a major oil spill in the Gulf of Mexico. Mr. Martin says the setting up of an oil refinery in Dominica could have serious implications for the country. He says Dominica is not in any position to deal with oil spills.
Well, the British Petroleum oil spill and the accident that occurred on the British Petroleum rig in the Gulf of Mexico and should send messages to us as we, unfortunately, have been mouthing interest in the possibility of an oil refinery here in Dominica. The implications and the lessons that can be drawn from that is, notwithstanding the enormous wealth and enormous expertise and the enormous technology that is available to the industry through a company like British Petroleum, BP, accidents will happen. This is an accident of immense proportion, which it has taken several weeks to even maybe begin to get under control, and even that is not 100% sure yet. In the meantime, there has already been irreversible damage to some critical, coastal and marine ecosystems in the Gulf of Mexico, particularly along the coast of Louisiana. And so for Dominica, tiny little island with a minimal coastal area, which is used for tourism, used for recreation, used for fishing and food supply, we would in fact be running the risk of jeopardizing all these important economic activities if we, endeavored to play games with the possibility of an oil refinery here in Dominica, because there will be spills, there will be accidents.
Mate says Dominica should consider the importance in keeping the coastal and marine environment clean to continue to provide the country with the required services. He says Dominica should seriously reconsider its plans for an oil refinery.
The other important issue that we need to draw here is the importance of stewarding, monitoring, and taking good care to keep the coastal and marine environment of Dominica clean, and to keep it in a condition where it can continue to provide us with these services that I've mentioned in tourism, recreation, fishing, and so on. Because while oil is a dramatic threat to these environments, there are other ongoing, maybe less dramatic threats that we have to deal with. In our case, it would be sedimentation, that is runoff of soil, especially in the rains we're having now. We have enormous landslide possibilities and coastal pollution, destruction of reefs from that. We have nitrates and other chemicals from agriculture that are seeping into our coastal regions, causing havoc with the fish life. We also have the question of sewage, untreated sewage, emptying out into our coastal regions. All these are, just like the oil spill in the Gulf of Mexico, a source of serious threat and pollution and destruction to coastal and marine environment. How can we build an economy on the strength of those natural resources rather than engage in investments in the kinds of industries that are very likely to, as has been demonstrated in the Gulf, at some point or other, give rise to accidents, to spills, and to pollutants that would in fact destroy the vital, fundamental natural resource asset